Is America's key ally trying desperately to downplay growing Houthi threats to target Saudi airports before the crisis escalates further? Have the Houthis forced Saudi Arabia onto the defensive, with Riyadh scrambling to contain fears over their escalating threats? What has Saudi Arabia vowed to do if the Houthis follow through on their threats and launch fresh attacks? Has Riyadh's warning against hostile behavior revealed deep anxiety over the Houthis' escalating military posture? What role is Iran really playing behind the rapidly escalating tensions between Saudi Arabia and the Houthi movement? Have the Houthis issued an open warning to Saudi Arabia as the dispute over an Iranian aircraft pushes the region closer to crisis? Saudi Arabia sought to play down retaliation threats issued by the Iran-backed Houthi movement in Yemen, insisting the warnings would not alter its security posture. The U.S. key Arab ally, on July 4th, accused the Houthi rebels of attempting to divert attention from Yemen's deepening humanitarian and political crisis. Riyadh was responding after the Houthis accused Saudi Arabia of violating Yemeni airspace and escalating regional tensions. The spokesman for the Saudi-led coalition backing Yemen's internationally recognized government issued an official statement on July 4th. Turkey Al-Malki accused the Houthis of fueling dangerous escalation and engaging in increasingly hostile behavior across the wider Middle East. Saudi Arabia then vowed to respond with overwhelming force if the Houthis launched any attacks against the kingdom or its territory. Al-Malki also asserted that the Saudi-led coalition remains fully committed to protecting Yemen from actions carried out by Houthi rebels. Spokesman for Saudi-led coalition in Yemen said, and I quote, "Houthi statements against the kingdom yesterday are merely an attempt to divert attention away from their grave violations against the brotherly people of Yemen, through which they try to export the economic disasters and Yemeni suffering they have caused." Statements are an extension of escalations and hostile behavior demonstrated by the Houthi militia and their attempts to undermine regional and international security. We vow a response with unprecedented determination and force to any and all attempts to target the kingdom, its citizens and residents and national assets, or any attempt to violate the sovereignty of the brotherly Republic of Yemen. End quote. The remarks came barely a day after Houthi spokesman Yahya Saree issued a direct warning to Saudi Arabia, sharply raising tensions once again. Amid rapidly rising tensions, Mojtaba Khamenei's Houthi allies have warned Saudi Arabia against any new violation of Yemeni airspace, framing future incursions as a red line that will not be ignored. On July 3rd, the Houthis publicly accused Saudi Arabia of violating Yemen's national airspace, turning a single-flight incident into a fresh diplomatic and military confrontation. The group claims Saudi warplanes tried to block an Iranian civilian aircraft in mid-air, portraying the move as a dangerous act that crossed all acceptable boundaries. According to the Houthis, the aircraft was simply attempting to land at Sana'a International Airport, when Saudi jets allegedly moved in to obstruct its approach. Houthi media insist the aircraft ultimately landed safely in Sana'a before later returning to Tehran, using that outcome to claim both defiance and control over their own airspace.
Bayanun Sadirun.
This morning, Friday, at 5:20 a.m., a formation of Saudi enemy warplanes violated Yemeni airspace in an attempt to prevent an Iranian civilian aircraft carrying more than 200 stranded, wounded, and 6 citizens from landing at Sana'a International Airport, which is, along with Yemen, has been under an unjust blockade for nearly 11 years. However, thanks be to Allah, their attempt failed through the interception of the warplanes by the Yemeni armed forces that thwarted this attempt by targeting the warplanes with a number of air defense missiles, forcing it to leave Yemeni airspace by the grace and power of Allah. Therefore, the Yemeni armed forces affirmed the following. First, we warn the criminal Saudi enemy against repeating any attempt to violate our airspace or any aggression targeting our country. Such actions will be met with a comprehensive response, targeting its airports and vital interests on land and sea. Second, we will not accept the continuation of the unjust Saudi American blockade on our country indefinitely, and we will take all legitimate steps to end this blockade. Third, we call upon our dear people to continue the general mobilization and combat readiness in response to the call of our leader, Sayyid Abdul-Malik Badr al-Din al-Houthi. May Allah protect him. Fourthly, we affirm the readiness of the armed forces, in all their formations, for any options the leader may decide upon, and that their fingers on the trigger to implement directives aimed at breaking the Saudi American siege on our dear people and expelling the occupiers. Finally, We stressed the necessity of ending the siege and the control over Sana'a International Airport. We commend and deeply appreciate the position of the Islamic Republic of Iran in taking the initiative to break the siege and transport the sick, the stranded, and the official and popular delegation participating in the funeral of the martyr, Sayyid Ali Khamenei. May Allah be pleased with him. We affirm the continuation of flights between Sana'a and Tehran airports, Allah's willing, to break the siege and alleviate the suffering of our dear, oppressed Yemeni people, whatever the consequences and repercussions.
Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia's tribute to Iran's slain supreme leader has once again thrust Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman into the regional spotlight. A Saudi delegation led by Deputy Foreign Minister Walid al-Karaji paid tribute to Ali Khamenei during the state funeral in Tehran. Saudi officials offered their respects as Iran held funeral ceremonies for its former supreme leader on July 3rd. The ceremony included the recitation of Quranic verse Al-Imran 3:13, referring to the historic Battle of Badr. The verse describes two armies, one fighting in the cause of Allah and the other as disbelievers. It also says that Allah grants victory to whomever He wills, drawing widespread attention. The choice of the Quranic verse quickly sparked controversy across social media. Critics argued that the recitation appeared to portray Iran as the divinely supported side in the recent conflict. The timing of the verse overshadowed the Saudi delegation's high-profile tribute to Ali Khamenei. The episode added a new layer of sensitivity to an event attended by delegations from across the region.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.